I've had several different jobs in my life. I started as a bag boy at a grocery store during high school. I worked at a liquor store during college. I've been a bank teller. I've sold homeowners insurance. But one job stands out among the rest of them as the worst, most soul-sucking job I have ever had. What's going on, beauties? My name, of course, is Bernsey, and welcome to episode 2 of YouTube Stories, a series where we go back 9 years and work our way forward, telling the stories of my experiences on YouTube. But today, we are going to go a couple of years before I joined YouTube. I'm going to tell you about the worst job I have ever had in my entire life. And that position was the position of a debt collector at a debt collection agency. If you don't know what these companies are, they are basically third-party companies that creditors either sell the unpaid debt that they have on their books, or they hire these companies to collect on that debt, and then that company would then take a commission. And my job was to call these people up and attempt to collect this debt. So before I get into the reasons why this job is so incredibly soul-sucking, why it's the worst job anyone could ever take in their lifetimes, I'll let you know the reasons why you might receive a call from a company like this, how I ended up at a company like this, and what my responsibilities were. So if you have any outstanding debt that you haven't paid, you could possibly end up getting a call from these human scumbags. I know that seems like a harsh characterization of the people that work there, but you'll understand what I'm talking about a little bit further into the video. But let's say that you had a credit card that you took out and you spent about $1,000 and you just stopped paying it off. A bank will attempt to collect that debt for about 6 months before they realize that you're just not going to pay it. The bank will do one of two things in this situation. They will either hire a third-party debt collection agency to attempt to collect the debt so they no longer have to spend the time and resources to do so, and if that collection agency collects the debt, they will receive a small commission. Or the bank will just sell the debt outright. What I mean by selling the debt outright is they will say, we have $1,000 that has not been paid, and they will sell it to a third-party debt collection agency for pennies on the dollar. So to explain this in simpler terms, let's say that you have a friend that owes you $100, and you've been trying forever to try to get it from them, and you just can't seem to do it. And I come to you and I say, I'll give you $50 for you to allow me to try to get $100 out of this friend of yours. So I give you 50 bucks. You're out $50, but you did get some of your money back, and now I go to the friend that owed you that money, and maybe I say, give me 75, and we'll call it even. So I make a small profit. Now you might say, that seems fair. This person did not pay back money that they rightfully owe, and the bank has the right to collect on a debt that is owed to them. But the way that these third-party debt collection agencies go about collecting this debt is at best unethical, and at worst, downright illegal. I witnessed it firsthand. But before we get into those juicy nuggets, let me tell you how I ended up working at a place like this. The year was about 2009, and if you remember those years, that is when the recession hit. Hundreds of thousands of people losing their jobs, which obviously turns into them not being able to pay their bills, which then lands them in collections, and obviously a place that is receiving a lot of unpaid debt, they're going to need to hire people. So here I enter. The worst job I have ever had in my entire life. They split you up into teams that are collecting on different sorts of accounts with different types of balances. The team that I was assigned to was a team collecting credit card debt for Capital One. As a new person, you are required to collect $30,000 in debt every single month. And then if you hit that goal, they bump you up to $45,000 a month that you have to collect. And then if you meet that, you go to $60,000, and then $75,000, and then you're expected to eventually collect $100,000 of debt in a month. And if you did not hit your goal for 3 months, you are fired. I would describe it as a very high pressure sales job, except that you're not selling anything. You're trying to get people to pay you money that they owe, and they expect you to be very, very, very aggressive. They don't give one single fuck that there's a recession going on, that someone might be out of a job and literally have no money to their name. You will be expected to figure out how they can pay it. So the way it worked is they had thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of accounts, and they would put them into a automatic dialer. So you would sit at your desk with a headset on, and it would just ring, 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 ring until someone answered, and then when someone answered, their account would pop up. There would be their social security number, their address, how much they owe, and it's your job to go through an entire script of questioning and figure out how they're going to pay it. So I don't remember the script verbatim, but it is a law that you have to start the phone call in this way. Hello, my name is Minnesota Burns. I'm calling for ABC Collections. This is an attempt to collect a debt. Anything you say is recorded, and this is how much you owe, and this is the company you owe. Would you like to take a guess on how many people actually followed the law with that required opening statement? Nobody. Nobody followed it, ever. They would either give a very abbreviated version of it, which is illegal, or they would just not say it at all. They would just jump right into their aggressive tactics, which we'll get to in a moment. The only time that they would say this statement that's required by law is when they had a state auditor in actually listening into phone calls, or someone actually understood their consumer protection rights and threatened to sue them, in which case they would just wipe the debt out completely and pretend it never happened. So let's get into these unethical, aggressive tactics that they expect from you. Now, as I stated earlier in the video, I come from a more customer service background, working as a bag boy in high school, at a liquor store, as a bank teller, selling homeowners insurance. You know, when you're pretty cordial with people that you're talking about, very friendly, very helpful. That's not allowed here. We're collecting money. So let's get into the type of the people that I spoke to trying to collect money from. I was working on Capital One accounts, as I stated earlier, and the type of people that I would come across would either be people who had never been in debt in their entire life, but the recession made them lose their job, they've gone through their entire savings, and they literally cannot pay you. And the other people were college students that creditors had already preyed on, and their credit it's ugly now. And what I mean by preying on college students, I'll give a personal example. When I was a freshman in college, no job whatsoever. I am living off savings, I'm living off help from my parents. This bank had me apply for a credit card and approved me. They approved me. Keep in mind, I have no credit history whatsoever. They approved me for $5,000. Now, to a college student who's looking to have a good time, have a good experience in college, but they don't have a lot of money, but they do have $5,000 on their credit card, and before you know it, they're in collections. So how does this collection agency expect you to collect on this money? Well, you're going to absolutely berate these people on the phone. I'm telling you, the people that had been at this company for 5, 10, 15 years, they are the meanest, most capricious people I have ever met in my life. You can just hear throughout the whole building. You know, it's not set up like cubicles, it's just desks everywhere with computers everywhere, so you can overhear people's conversations. Just people just berating people. Why aren't you paying your bills? You should have paid your bills. Well, this person lost their job for no fault of their own and they're struggling right now. To me, I go to my customer service background and I say, you know, is there a way we can get you on a payment plan? You know, is there a way we can try to help you pay down some of the interest? You know, can we just make small payments till you get back on your feet? That is not accepted at a place like this. You will berate them. You will say, dig into your savings. Do you have a parent? Do you have friends that'll help you? And you might be thinking, that's a reasonable thing to ask, have a college student go ask their parents. But this is how just unethical in my eyes. You know, leave your opinions down below if you agree or disagree with me. But I had one where my manager took over the phone call for this young woman who was like $1,000 in debt, got her to get her mom on the phone, and then absolutely berated the mom, saying, your child's credit is screwed. They'll never be able to buy a house. They'll never be able to buy a car. Well, you have to help them pay this. They're being extremely irresponsible. You should have had your eyes out for this. Can you just pay it off for her? And, you know, it might be very difficult for a lot of parents to just say, here's $1,000, it's over. So when they couldn't get that, they would turn to this. Do you have another credit card that you use? Yeah, well, yeah. Oh, well, why don't you just put the debt on there? Well, I don't want to do that. Well, here's an idea. Why don't you go apply for another credit card that has 0% interest for a year and put it on there, and then you want to pay interest on it. I mean, they would just do absolutely anything. And eventually it just sucks your soul out of it to hear people's sob stories that they lost their job or they felt preyed upon by a creditor when they were a young person and they have no idea what to do. And you would think it would be my job to just talk them through it and try to find a solution, but no, you have to get that money now, you have to get it today, and it doesn't matter how you do it. It doesn't matter if you have to get a family member on the phone, and it doesn't matter if you hang up on them. It doesn't matter at all, because guess what? They're gonna call you at work. They can call you 3 times a day, every day. They will not leave you alone. So just imagine how soul-sucking it is to go to work for 8 to 10 hours a day talking to the same person, having to berate them over and over and over again. And guess what? It's impossible to get away. because they actually hire full teams to investigate different ways that they can contact you. They will find your parents' number, they will find your work number, they will find old numbers that you've had, they will find any means necessary, and they will harass you daily until they get what they want. So if you find yourself with the opportunity to work for one of these companies, run as fast as you can, as far away as you can, because if you take this job, it will be 9 hours of your day, 5 days a week, and sometimes on Saturdays, listening to sob stories that you're not allowed to have any empathy for whatsoever. Your job will be to berate people constantly every single day until they pay up. So after 6 months at this position, I came to the conclusion that it was only making me extremely depressed, and that I was beginning to hate myself for even working there one day. So I didn't even bother putting my 2 weeks notice in, I just stopped showing up. And I have never put their name on my resume and never will, and neither should you. Thank you so much for listening to my story today. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like rating below, and if you have an opinion to offer, even if it disagrees with me, please leave it in the comments section below. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.